out a lot is that you can also go into the tech fields and work for places like Google, a startup company, etc. So it just all depends on what exactly you're interested in. You can always fabricate your roadmap of what courses to take and, see what you like. Like, don't be scared to go into different fields like philosophy, for example, or even biology. Just try it all. And yeah, that's basically what it consists of. So I would really look into interdisciplinary majors. And yeah.
Awesome. I guess Solomon, you want to go next?
What was exactly the question? Why did I choose to major in what I
Yeah.
studied?
Mhm.
I'm gonna try to consolidate the story because I'm gonna try telling my life story, and that's probably what's gonna happen, but I'll try to put it in like a minute or two. So in my last year of high school, I took AP Econ, and I don't know how soon people feel super entranced or interested in this in like a subject they study, but I loved econ because it just, anything business just fascinated me. So I'm like, oh, okay, maybe, I should do business. And I'm like, okay, I'll try this out. And though, I enjoyed it and whatnot, the only problem is I don't know if it's different now, but between all the business schools that I could apply to in the UC system, it was either like Haas, which is, UC Berkeley, or I think UCI, and then there was also UCR. And I was just like, I don't really like that I'm only putting my eggs in three baskets. I want to, have like a wider net to catch. Because if I don't get into any of these, hypothetically, not trying to be negative, like it just wouldn't turn out well, at least for me. So then I thought about switching over to econ, and like econ's great, don't get me wrong, but I reached a point where I was like, I really don't know what I'm doing. Like, and I think everybody can probably relate to that in some format. Nobody really knows what they're doing, but at least I want to like enjoy what I'm doing, right? So I spoke to a few friends, and they're just like, listen, if you want to, like, if you think that there's something you can do better, then definitely focus on that. So I have an inner circle of about 10 to 15 people that I talk to about my career and whatnot. And I noticed like English was never something really tough for me. Like I never thought about that though, that I was a good communicator. And so ultimately, after talking to my friends and thinking about it, I'm like, you know what, I'm going to major in English. So I changed like a year before I transferred, and things worked out well. But yeah, no, I think I'm right where I was supposed to be academically, and like I'm sure you guys can sort of tell that I have a good grasp of the language now, but it's because I'm aware of it. I wasn't aware of this before, but yeah, that's pretty much a big chunk of my life story in like 2 minutes.
Awesome. And I think one of the questions our participants asked in the forum was, the English major stereotype saying, if you graduate as an English major, you won't get a job, or it's going to be really hard for you to find a job. Is that true in your opinion?
Honestly, if anything, it was a lot easier for me to get a job, and you guys can add me on LinkedIn. We can have more unfiltered conversations about that too, or more direct conversations. But so if you get an internship in college that is related to what you do, then like it becomes a lot easier to get a job, and I think that is something I really, really want to like hit home as a point, because everybody's like, oh, whatever you major in is like what you're supposed to do. But like English isn't like a hard major like engineering or like the biological sciences. Not saying you can't shift in those fields, but if you did computer science, you're likely going to be doing computer science after. Engineering or English is something that can apply to so many things. So I did marketing internships on campus, and I think tailoring my resume was a lot easier because I was a good writer, explaining logically like why my major suits marketing. I can do it to you right now. Like I could pitch it to you if I wanted to. And like I think helped me get a job really, really quickly in marketing. Like I job searched, I want to say for 2 months, because I got an internship after I took a vacation, like in a month. Then I job searched for 2 months, and then I got a job, which, a lot of people search for like over a year. It could just be my luck, sure. But, I like to say that I think my English skills did help to some degree.
Awesome. I think that's a really great answer. So just a quick mention. So I'm getting a few direct messages on the Zoom chat. So if any of you have any questions, feel free to just type it in, and we'll go over them during the Q&A session. Right. And of course, Ani, do you want to talk about why you chose your major?
Yeah, so I mean, I've always been interested in the field of like politics and political science. You know, they say that's like something you're not supposed to talk about at the dinner table, but I always talk about it. Like it's something my family's always been a part of. And like as a former like immigrant and like going through that path myself, I like recognize the difficulties of it. And so when I came to the, you know, when it came to the point of my life where I was like, okay, what do I want to do with my life? I was like, okay, I want to get involved with politics. I want to make a difference, but I don't want to go into law. And that's okay. Because I think a lot of people say, oh, like if you're a political science major, that directly means you're going into law school. And no, you can do so much with political science. You can, you know, get into research, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to go to Berkeley, because they have an amazing research facility. You can get into so many different fields with a degree in political science. And also you learn how to converse with different types of people, which comes in handy in, you know, any field you go into. So I really like politics in that perspective, but also I did the middle college program out of my high school. So my senior year of high school, I actually came to Anza and started taking some classes at Anza, and I took Robert Stockwell's class. I did all of my political science classes with him. I loved him. And he like confirmed that I wanted to get into politics. So it was through some Anza classes too that really, you know, made me confirm my beliefs that, yeah, this is the path I want to go on. And yeah, I just needed that confirmation.
Wow, that's really great. And Mahol, do you want to share your story?
Yeah, so back when I was, you know, screw STEM, screw computer science, never gonna get into that. I decided just for funsies, for kicks, I would take a computer science class. I took AP, I don't know, I took AP Comp Sci in high school. A week into it, dropped it, was absolutely not. But in college, I decided to take Python, Intro to Python, soft and easy. And I loved it. I immediately got obsessed. And I was a psychology major at the time because there's a funny joke between psychology majors where it's like you either want to fix yourself or someone else. Yeah, it's true. And so I was a psych major at the time, but I realized I really liked computer science, or I liked learning languages. I liked learning new things. So when I dropped out of that specific college and got to community college, I was like, I'm going to explore this. I'm going to see if I actually like it, or I just took a really easy class and got an A. And I started to do that. C++, it's not fun, but it really helps you understand. And I started taking all of these other language courses, specifically in comp sci, and I really enjoyed it. And I realized, why not put together my two passions, especially if it's going to get you money, and you can get a really solid job in the workforce. And it's up and coming technology. It's coming up, it's changing, it's evolving. And so it's a really interesting niche in society. And I decided to pursue that. And it was actually very interesting. And like how Jennifer said, there's so many different aspects. You don't even need to know how to code if you're going to go into cog sci. You really don't. It's helpful. You definitely need to like be able to converse in it, because that's just what the world is now. But you don't actually need to learn how to code. So yeah, that's why I went into that major.
Awesome. And also, I guess the question that I think most of us are asking or wondering about is the transfer process, the transfer application, right? Because I think most of us are sophomores. We're gonna be sending in our application in less than 2 months. So, what do you guys think made you stand out in your application when you transferred, or what do you think got you in to your current university?
Honestly, I think my essays helped a lot. I think when you're writing your essays, the way that I thought about it was like, if I'm gonna really show myself to these people, which are the people reading these essays, I'm gonna give them my realest self that I can be, because it's like, take me as I am or don't take me at all. So I don't really talk about this, but I am diagnosed with OCD. It is something that I feel very strongly about, and I'm a mental health advocate for that. And even sharing that as part of my life, like I feel like I was really stepping out of my shell and putting my best foot forward. So when you're writing your essays, write something that you're passionate about, write something that really affected you either positively or negatively, and also write something that answers the prompt. I feel like sometimes we can, like drive away from the actual question itself. And not only that, but be involved in your school, be involved outside of your school. I took some programs at Stanford. I was a mentor for mentors at Anza, and I loved whatever I did. I didn't just do it, oh, because it'll look good. No, it's because I truly loved what I was doing. And just remember, you're applying to these schools with so many other students, and you want to stand out. So show them that, show them, listen, I am more than just a person that's interested in this. I have devoted my time and my work into actually making myself someone in this field.
Awesome, that's really great. And also another question would be, what were your extracurriculars like? I know you mentioned a bit about being a peer mentor at Mentors at the Anza, but aside from that, did you have any internships or like crazy involvement on campus?
So it's actually pretty funny because I did not. I did this program at Stanford, and you guys can search it up if you're psychology or neuroscience or anything like that. I love sharing the programs. It's called, I wrote it down right here. Give me one second. I always forget. It's called NFEP. It's called Neuroscience Foundation Exploratory Program. Excuse me. This program is mostly geared towards high school students. So I took that during my senior year. So it wasn't that big of a time difference, but the rules may have changed. They may have opened it up for more people. I'm not sure. Another program that I was involved in, but I didn't write in my application, was through IBM. It is called Good Tech Scholars Program. I'll make sure to write that down in the description. I was also a TA for my psych professor. I strongly advocate for her. Her name is Shannon Hassett. She usually teaches Psych 1A. I was also a volunteer at my hospital for a very large chunk of time, about 4 years. So that is why I decided to include it. Although it happened in high school, it was still something that I felt really resonated with me till college. But no, when it came to internships, I didn't do anything that crazy. If you don't have that many internships or weren't as involved in programs, don't feel discouraged. Just always try your best to see what's out there. Go on Indeed, Google stuff, put something with your major, something close to you, because I didn't really have a lot of internships, but here I am, and I believe in all of you. So yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And I guess Suleiman, you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. So in terms of, I guess, what I think made me stand out, I think the first thing that I can share is that, similar to what I think Jennifer said, like I wasn't shy about who I was. I think that's pretty important. And like, I remember I was reading this when I was like, stressing about college apps and in the same place you guys were. And it said, remember, this is all that the college gets to know about you. Like every person like gets this chance to like really show who they are, right? And like I like owned everything that I did, like and I guess I can open up about this right now. Like in junior year, I mentioned high school being tough. My aunt actually passed away due to cancer, and that was like academically like my worst year. Like in junior year, I'm sure you guys know, is like the most important, notorious to be that way. I got like a 1.3 GPA. It was horrible. So much bad stuff happened. Semester after, I did football, took like 7 classes, and then I got a 3.8, right? So I was able to turn the page. And then I went through a similar situation in college. and it didn't affect me. And I was able to talk about something from the past. Like, people say don't talk about somebody who's passed away and live in cliche, but I'm like, you know what, if this has happened again and I've responded differently, I think this is something that I can share. And then, like I got into Bollywood dancing around that time too, which is something I think I was shy about sharing because it's not something you like generally should talk about. But, if you like something, why not? So I talked about how that showed my, leadership skills, my creativity skills, and my project management skills. So like, think about everything that you do as like a lever or like a painting that you can portray of yourself. Because, like when we go through our day to day, we think that we're just normal people, and we all are, right? But like we have skills that like somebody else doesn't have. Like everybody has something unique about themselves, but we short sell it because like we're just like that's who we are. We just think it's normal. I don't think it's normal to perform like do Bollywood dancing like because it's not something that I've heard a lot, like, and I'm sure all you guys have like great skills. So use that, that's part of who you are. That's part of your identity. And like when these schools are looking for somebody to accept, they're looking for somebody who's going to contribute to that culture, and confidence, comfort in yourself, being able to think outside the box. Those are things that every university wants, And one other thing that I wanted to suggest, I don't know if you guys know this, but the UC Berkeley, they actually have like a transfer student center that I worked at, and they have people who actually read your applications before you submit them. So I think you have to go there in person. It might be different because of COVID, but like get your essays shown by them. I didn't even know about that program. So like use it, use all the resources you want. So yeah, that's I guess sort of my story.
Oh, do they actually read your essays in the transfer center?
Like when I applied.
That's so cool. Wow.
Oh, like I didn't get to do it when I applied. I didn't even know about the program, but they do read your essays. Yeah, like I remember when I was interning there, like like people would give like real feedback because the people who read your essays are the ones who are like part of admissions. They're like from that department, so they can give you the best feedback.
Mhm. Right.
Yeah.
Awesome. And what were your extracurriculars like when you were transferring out?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. So I think Bollywood dancing definitely took the cake, but that was more so just one answer. Other than that, I didn't have too many. I think like all I did was just work. And I read somewhere like in the UC application that if you don't have extracurriculars, but you're working, like that looks good as well, because, again, like extracurriculars, what are they meant to do? Demonstrate your passion. But, some people have to work, and like I didn't work too much, but it was enough to show that like, like I can manage time well, I have other priorities, etc.
Right. Yeah, I think that's something a lot of people are scared of as well, right? Like they have like so many other responsibilities, like family responsibilities, or they have to work, and so they just don't have time to do extracurriculars like others usually do, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
definitely. Um,
yeah.
I think there's one thing else that I can share really quickly, if you don't mind. I also talked about how like English was very, very like interrelated with sort of like my religion. And, like for example, let's say you read the Bible, right? Like you have to analyze that text and sort of apply it to your life. And a friend of mine I was speaking to gave me that really good idea that I didn't even realize, like that, like, okay, if you're like following a specific religion, doing that, like you're already showing like how like you're really, really meant for this subject because of your interest there and like how you apply it. So, like if your interest is like, if you have a passion for biology, I'm sure that's shown up way before. Like if you watch, I don't know, Grey's Anatomy, I don't know that show, but I'm just giving you like a hypothetical, like you can talk about how that interest has shown up in your life in different ways outside of just school.
Right. Mhm. Definitely. And I guess Ani, would you like to share your story?
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna keep it real. Colleges want to hear a good struggle story. They want to hear that because it makes them look better. So, yeah, like even if you're not the type of person that's like outgoing when it comes to, talking about, certain something that's, making it harder for you to just go about the day, they want to hear about that. They want to hear what makes you stand out because they want that type of person at their institution that fits that kind of mold for them as well. Like I was working 30 to 35 hours a week. So I was obviously talking about how financially I had to support myself. So that's something that I really put in my essays. I was also involved in like some cultural stuff for this like local community center that I was a part of. So volunteering in that aspect. On top of that, I was also doing an internship, unpaid. And that was like the worst quarter of my life. Like I was doing a bunch of classes, did an unpaid internship, and then working 30 hours a week. And also just like having time to sleep kind of. So at one point, like one of the quarters, my GPA dropped a little, and I actually talked about that. I was like, I learned from the mistake that I overloaded myself, and I shouldn't have done that. And that's something I need to, prioritize. So I talked about priority. And obviously if I'm going in with my political science major, I talked about my immigrant background and why I wanted to get into it. They want you to talk about the heartfelt stuff. Like if, you can hide that, like you can choose to talk about it with other people, but when it comes to college applications, put it in there. They want to diversify their applicant pool, especially like UC Berkeley, for example. Right now they accepted the most Latinx student population versus any other versus any past admission rates, and that's huge, because that's like marginalized individual communities usually have difficulty getting into these institutions. So definitely talk about what was easy for you, what was hard for you, talk about why you chose your major, your passions, your struggles. That's something they want to hear about. And also I would say try to get in contact with someone from that university who's not on the staff. Like someone who goes there, you can just totally DM them or find them and be like, hey, I kind of stalked you and I want to learn more about this, like the major here or something like that. And they'll definitely be open to helping you because they were once in that path themselves. But I would also say universities love transfer students. Whenever I told any one of my professors I was a transfer student, they're like, oh, you're all such hardworking people, you're all such like amazing students. And it's true, like we are hardworking and we need to prove that to the university, and they're happy to take us. So just boost yourself up. And like some of my other panelists were saying, like just show them how amazing you are. They're ready to accept you.
That's really great answer. Wow. And yeah, I think I heard that a lot as well. Like try to write a sub story like when you're submitting your use application, but at the same time you don't want to make it like so they can pity you, and you show like your resilience in on your essays, right? Instead of just writing it instead of framing it so they can pity you, write as a way so they can show how resilient you are. All right.
Definitely. Yeah. If you write a sob story and there's like, what did you learn from it? Like if there's no ending, like, I don't know how to say it, like something as a result of it you learn from, then they're going to be like, okay, well, that was great, but like, what did you learn from it? So if you're choosing to write, go that route of writing a sob story or like writing something that, you're really passionate about, then tell them what you learned from it and how it's influenced you, because you just want to be real with them. And the right institution will find you. And like, I always was always set on either UCLA or UC Berkeley. And like something was telling me like when I got waitlisted at UCLA, I wanted to apply again. And then I got off the wait list. But then I was like, I feel like UC Berkeley is my place. And now like, I'm so happy I chose to go to UC Berkeley because like everything happens for a reason. So whatever school you get into, even if it's not the one that you thought you were going to at first, it's meant to be.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, Mahol, do you want to share your story?
Yeah, so I would say it's going to sound a little bit repetitive, but invest time and emotion into your essays and really make sure every single sentence counts. Like I'm emphasizing that the most because you don't want useless filler sentences. Every single sentence needs to convey and answer the question for that essay. So make sure that you are like succinct, you're to the point. And especially when we're talking about like emotional stories, one thing I learned from my like senior year of applying for colleges, there's a distinction between trauma dumping and like learning from your trauma. My senior year, I trauma dumped. I God bless whoever read my essays. I feel sorry for you. But it was a mess because I went through a really tough time throughout high school. And I thought that if I portrayed that in my essays, they would feel bad for me. I don't know. But my community college experience, unfortunately, my grandmother passed away. And I was one of her sole like physical caretakers. That was a lot of my time. No one in the family was strong enough to lift her. So it was on me every single day. And I incorporated that in my essays, but I used it to show that, like, first of all, this was a time commitment. Second of all, it did make me stronger. And third of all, like, I balanced my full 6 courses of classes every quarter with taking care of my grandmother, with part-time jobs, with extracurriculars. So you show that you're like an all-around person, that like you are more than just a couple grades and a GPA and the classes that you took. I was pretty scared that like my classes or like my GPA would get in front of who my story was. But I wouldn't let that stop you. Don't let that stop you. That's just one part, you know. UC system has like really outgrown that part of like just looking at your GPA. They want to see the whole person, which is really nice now. And so definitely invest time in your essays, and don't be afraid to really show who you are. Don't be like maybe this is too much info. No, use it to show your strengths. Use it to show, even if you have weaknesses, we all have weaknesses, show that it's a weakness, but you're working past it, or you took steps to work past it and grow stronger. And then my extracurriculars. So in De Anza itself, I was a lead mentor of the mentorship mentors at De Anza program. And I also had 2 senior mentor roles at the same time. So I was leading and I was a senior mentor. And I was mentoring 2 kids within the program. I was a writing and resource tutor at the SSC. So that was a part-time job. I was also a cross-cultural partner, and I was also in the ICC, where I took up about 3 roles. And I was the chair of equity, so that also had like a lot of time constraints. Outside of that, I was a yoga teacher and I taught kids yoga. I, of course, was like taking care of my grandmother and had like family issues at home, of course. And I also volunteered interacting with senior adults and teaching them how to use the internet, as well as through a nonprofit organization, I was volunteering my time. But kind of off topic to what Suleiman was said about the Berkeley Transfer Center, there's actually a Berkeley transfer mentorship program. I would highly, highly recommend looking for that. If you have any questions, you should contact mentors at De Anza. Sorry, I'm plugging them. But they have the connect to that Berkeley mentorship program, and you get connected to individuals who've already graduated Berkeley, and they're like in a solid job status, and they'll read your essays, they'll lead you through everything, and it's completely for free, which is awesome. So definitely look into that and contact them. But yeah.
Oh, that's really great. Do you have a name for that program?
You know, it has totally slipped my mind, unfortunately.
It's called Starting Point. I actually remembered that as I was talking, but I had to stop talking so I couldn't just interrupt. But yeah, I'm gonna put the link for the transfer center in the chat so you guys can peruse that and totally look into all the stuff that they have to offer for you guys.
Oh, thank you so much for that. Right. And I guess a question I think most transfer students are a bit scared of is, what's life like when you transfer, right? Are the academics way more rigorous? Like how do you adapt to the new environment when you transfer out?
I guess I could start this one off. I don't want to scare everyone, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be that person. All I can say is take your mental health very seriously. Take care of your body. Sleep. Please sleep. Honestly, as this is my first quarter here at UCLA, it is very rigorous. I'm going to be honest, I see a difference and I kind of don't see a difference between De Anza and UCLA. I think the only difference that I see is it's not like we're a community college where you're like, okay, let me finish my math homework and my coding homework today and I'm done. And then tomorrow, like I just have to do my English homework and my history homework. No, you have to work every day, because if you don't, you just feel so behind. And every time you go to class, you're gonna get assigned more work and more work and more work. It's just better if you plan things correctly. And it's okay if you don't have it figured out. I personally don't have it figured out. I'm still learning, and that's okay. But also just take care of your mental health, take care of you sleeping, because you will not be able to do well in your classes if you're not taking care of yourself. But other than that, there is a lot of reading. So just be prepared to read a lot. You don't always have to read every single word. I think skimming is also really important. And something that I learned through my first class in my cognitive science department, my professor said, you guys are going to learn this textbook and you will probably not understand a single word in it, but that's okay. Like at the end of the day, you're still adapting to a new place and you're still trying to learn something that's new to you. Everyone and everything in this institution is just helping you adapt to how to learn. And yeah, honestly, just push through the readings and you'll be good.
Yeah, and also I think I'm not sure if this happens in UCLA, but as far as I know, like in UC Berkeley, like the competitive environment really is yeah, the environment really is competitive there. And from the transfer students I talked to, they said that when they're on campus, they felt like comparing themselves to other people all the time, and they felt like they're just a small fish in a big pond, right? So have you felt that before at UCLA? And if you did, what are some things you did to um, approach that?
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm a first generation Latina student. So even being in STEM related classes, I don't see people that look like me. And it's really hard because I do feel like an outsider. And I'm not gonna sugarcoat things for you guys, because I wish I had someone tell me all of this before I transferred. Um, there's times where, as a transfer, I feel like the world is a little bit against me, because it kind of feels like, oh, well, I wasn't here in the beginning and now I'm here in my third year. So I've always felt kind of like looked down upon by other students. But I personally don't let that discourage me, because I know that I worked hard and I don't have to prove that to anybody but myself. Um, and it's definitely very competitive at these universities, and you're going to meet a lot of people in different aspects in life, and they're working at a great tech company like Google, and then there's people that don't even know what they're doing yet. They're unsure if they're going to major in this, and they're in their third year. So it's just remember, everyone goes in their own individual path. Nobody goes through the same thing. And it might seem like in your classes that these kids know everything, but little do you know, it's an act. Like, don't believe them. Like, everyone's struggling out here. Everyone is struggling. And I just constantly have to remember that. And it's okay to seek help. So go to office hours, talk to your TA, and don't be afraid to reach out to other people, even though it might be really scary and intimidating.
That's really great advice. Thank you so much, Jennifer. And I guess Suleiman, you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. So in terms of how Cal was different than De Anza, I definitely want to preface that I'm not doing this to trigger anybody. And like I think a lot of the stories are going to start like this, which I hope, which is probably triggering you guys, but just stick with me here. I think the biggest difference that I saw was just the quality of work that I had to turn in. And because I thought I was a good writer when I was at De Anza, I was like, yeah, I'm going to be an English major. I'm so good. And then like you go there, you're like, oh, it's not as easy as I thought it was going to be. And That's not to say that it was like hard, because like when I went to orientation, they said there is an adjustment period that you have to prepare yourself for, and I took a 1 unit transition course through the UC Berkeley Transfer Center, and they, walked me through that process, and we like met up like I think every week at least once, and we talked about, it was just like a non-graded environment where like a counselor can, just hear like, like what students' concerns were, and like finding actionable ways to like, go about it in like a positive way, right? So the first 2 weeks I hated Berkeley, and it was more so because of the fact that like, like you're in a new environment. I was taking 13 or 14 units, but the new environment, the new student culture, the new academics, that adds about 4 units just by itself, so it's like taking 17 or 18 units. But I had 2 cousins who went to Berkeley before I did, and a lot of other people who went through this process of college, and I had a good support system, right? And they gave me perspective. They were like, listen, like you have to, like you're in a place where, like everything is so new. So like, don't be impulsive, like just chill, right? And so by being relaxed and being focused on the positive, like I'm a big preacher on being positive in life, because you never want to double up on problems. Like if something you're going through is bad, if you feel bad about it, you just made one problem twice as bad for yourself. So like for me, I was like, I think the biggest thing was just like not having the best GPA. And because, when you go to Anza, which is, like obviously I'm not gonna say like super easy, but it's easier than being at a university, like, and like given, like I know like there are different departments and different professors, but at least in my experience, but Anza did set me up 100% well. But when I accepted that I wasn't going to get a 4.0, that's when Cal started to get easier for me, because I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to do my best day in and day out and see where I can go from there. And, like the first grade that I got back on paper was like a C plus, but I had 2 choices: either be pissed about it or be like, you know what, if this is the worst that I can do, I do not have a lot to worry about. And through that thinking, I was able to average, like, I don't want to like drop the numbers per se, but let's say I was above like a B plus through the rest of my time at Cal. But, and like in terms of the academic environment, I think it's there for sure, the competitiveness, but I've always been a person who's just been focused on myself, because it's so easy to get like caught up in that, because, everybody's smart there, but you have your own way of working, like just focus on yourself and focus on your swim lane. It's like, I think of life as a swim lane, like just stay in your lane and just like work hard. And, like if you do your best, like things will work out, because, people are competitive. But when I was at the transfer center and I met great people who've been from different walks of life, like we could just not talk about school and just like hang out and have a fun time. So you're as affected by it as you want to be. So just try to be positive. Like it just makes life way easier and way more fun.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Solomon. And Ani, do you want to share your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I would say the first thing you should do is like find what makes you happy. Use your time at Anza to like see like what is it that really makes me happy? Like, is it, just drawing, painting, going on walks? Find that before you transfer, because when you transfer, that can be your little solace that you have when you're going through it. And two, like Suleiman said, there is that imposter syndrome when you come to Cal, because the best of the best are in these universities. You think you're the best, and then you come there and like, for example, my like major, like I was like, oh, I'm doing so well, and then someone's like, yeah, I'm doing an internship with Senator Feinstein, and then I'm also volunteering in Oakland, and then I'm doing this, and like you're like, I'm not enough. Like I'm not going to be enough. There are days when you're going to go through that and you're like, what is happening? But you know what? You can do it with your friends. We would all sit together and be like, we're not enough. And then we just like do something fun as a result of it. And I'm really outgoing, especially living in Berkeley. You're close to Oakland, you're close to SF, you're close to so many different places. So I would be that person. Like I would time myself and I'm like, okay, if we're going out tonight, I'm working until 8:59, and then at 9 I'm getting ready and we're going out, and I'm solely focusing on going out. I'm not going to focus about my essay, about my exam, about anything when I'm out. Like when you're doing your thing, focus on what you're doing. If you're writing your essay, if you're studying, focus on that. and then shut that part of your brain off and do what the next task is. Don't worry about what you were doing, or don't worry about what's yet to come. Just do what you got to do. And especially I realized that during COVID, like for example, I studied for my midterm when I honestly would have been okay. But of course I was like, no, I'm going to study more. And I didn't go to the Stanford and Cal game. I was like, I'll just go next year. And COVID happened and I never went. And now I'm like, there's some things that I really regret not doing, because I always was like, I need to study, I need to do this. But it's like, no, you have to live life. We're in our prime years. Like, you really have to do these fun things. I would take a lot of long walks in Berkeley and like listen to lectures, or just kind of review things in my head just so I can calm down. So practice mental health, like Jennifer was saying, practice sanity, have fun, whatever your version of fun is, try new food places. You know, you're going to a different city, most likely. There's going to be new culture, new people that you want to interact with. So have a good balance. And that's going to take a little bit to find. No one finds it right away. People act like they know that they're chilling, they're having a great time, they're balancing, but no one's, you know, no one's at 100%. Everyone's just going through it, but everyone's going through it together. So that's the most important part. And also, what was I going to say? Oh, get in touch with other transfers. That's one of the best things I did. Go to transfer events. Places like Berkeley, I know they have an amazing transfer program. A lot of transfers would, like NorCal or SoCal transfers, they would organize events. So, you know, we'd go to Mission Dolores, or we'd do something like this. And it's really important because these students have also gone through the same process you have. So it's really amazing. And join a club on campus that you really like. You know, like I joined an Armenian Student Association club, which was great because I got to find people that were also like me through a culture perspective, but also were going through the same things I did at Berkeley. So join whatever organization makes you happy, do whatever makes you happy. And if you solely find a way to find like harmony and balance in your life, you're going to do amazing. Yeah, I didn't get that 4.0, but I graduated with a 3.8 and I did just fine. Like everyone, you're going to be fine at the end of the day. It's not always about the GPA. Nowhere have I like actually gotten a question of like, what was your GPA? Like they never say that. They're more like, what did you do with your time at university? Like, what is it that you did? What makes you stand out? So have fun, enjoy your life, because God forbid another pandemic happens, but you don't want to have any regrets, okay?
Yeah, that's really great. And honestly, 3.8 is not, it's a really great GPA. Yeah, so I guess, Mohol, do you want to share your story?
Yeah, sure. So one thing I'm going to say is comparison's going to be your biggest enemy. Never compare yourself to anyone else. It's one of my worst habits. It's one of my biggest weaknesses. We're all human. We all do it. But don't do it. Don't buy into like the evil voices in your head that are bringing you down, or like, oh, look at their GPA. Look at what they're doing. Don't do it. Because like Jennifer said, like everyone is saying today, you are on your own path. So whatever, you take your own time, but you're going to get there eventually. Wherever you want to get to, you're going to get there. You just got to stick to your own path, your own schedule. And so the question. So one thing I would say is I actually really like UCSD. Tying it back to like when I said the transfer resources, I'm going to say the transfer resources here are chef's kiss. Like they are one of the best resources I've seen. Before I committed to universities, I did my research. I ranked them out, all the places that I got accepted to, and I saw what are their transfer resources and what's the graduation rate, especially in my major, especially in the most recurrent years, because I wanted to make sure that I was going to get the most, like the bang out of my buck, you know, and you get what you put into it. So make sure you do your research, especially on the universities that you're very excited about, because once I saw that, you know, like, you know, UC Davis has the best transfer resources. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. I didn't see that coming. That makes that university even more interesting to me. UCSD, amazing transfer resources. And actually all transfers live together. All my housemates right now are transfers. And so it makes you feel like me and all my homies are going through it all together. Like you are not alone. And you have all of these resources at your disposal. So you really, once you put what you want into it, then you actually get a huge return. Like for an example, all the student organizations, apply to them or join them. I know in Berkeley sometimes you have to apply, but join as much as you can, as much as you want to, and you know that you can handle it, because you're going to make so many more friends. You're going to make your experience so much more well-rounded. And definitely know what you can handle. So for an example, in community college, as you heard, I was in a lot of stuff on top of 6 courses every single quarter. And Anza really helped me realize what the quarter system was like. So when I came to UCSD, quarter system is, it's a breeze. It's not that I'm used to it. And so I was able to understand what I was comfortable with taking on my plate. For an example, I have a part-time job currently. I'm doing research at a lab. So I know I can handle it. And even if it's not handleable, then I will realize that and I will take a step back. So realize your limits, and that'll make your experience a lot better, because you don't want to be burnt out. And especially right now, community college is a really niche experience. You're at home, especially right now, all of you are at home, and the pandemic, it's really isolating. But then you go to college and it's like, oh my God, there's a social life. Oh my God, I'm like interacting with so many more people. So that means that I'm not like, so then there's less time to study and there's like less time to focus on this work and stuff. And so that's also takes up time. So that's also something you have to realize. And that's something that actually took the biggest hit for me, because in the pandemic at home, I was like, oh, it's 9 p.m. and I have nothing to do. Let me just study for 3 hours. For what? For what? I did not need to do that. I did not need to waste my energy in my mind and the space in my mind to spend 3 hours, 9 p.m. on a Friday night in my room studying. Like, you don't need that. You need to spend time taking care of your mental health and prioritizing living life, because that's what you need to do. Like, the pandemic put your life on pause. And many of you are at home and have been at home for a while. But then when you go back, you go out into the universe, into university, you realize that there's such thing as life, and it makes it so much more exciting. Because you need to what's the word? You need to invest in that, because that will make your university life 100 times better. Don't spend all your time studying. Of course, take a responsible amount of time to study. Keep your, lack of a better phrase, keep your shit together. But invest time in a life, because that's what you're going to remember when you graduate. You're going to remember making that friend on that one night when you did something really stupid. You're not going to remember that one quiz you got an 8 out of 10 on. So just remember that. Take care of yourselves.
Wow, that's really great advice. Thank you so much for sharing that. And all right, I think that's pretty much all the questions we have. So we will now go into our Q&A session. So if any of you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself and ask questions straight away, or you can type it out in the chat and we'll read it out for you. Okay. And I think we have a couple of questions in the chat above. All right, let's start with an associate's degree. So in the Anza, we do have the option to get an associate's degree after completing some general education requirements, right? So did you guys get any associate degrees, or do you think it's worth it at all?
I actually did. First I did it as a way because I wanted to do the CSU path as well, just for having more options. But I did it in, I want to say behavioral sciences, something like that. It's something else to add on. It's like, when you go on LinkedIn and you see someone has a certification in something, it's just a nice little pin that it's like a gold star on your resume or file. So it's great because it does show that, you haven't that you want to work hard and stuff like that, but you can also do it through different ways. So it really depends. If you want to do something, it's kind of like a minor. I would think of it as a minor at a university. Having an AA is a great way of showing oh, I focus on this, but I'm also doing this. So if you have the time and something really interests you and a certain class really interests you, I think it's great to do it. But it doesn't make or break college.
Right.
Admissions.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Does any of our...
I can go too. So when I entered community college, I thought that I had to So do your research. You really don't have to. Get your IGETC and book it. Like you don't, that's max what you need, max. But I thought also like it would validate myself in a community college aspect. You think like, oh, you know, like it makes you feel better because like you have FOMO, you're dealing with FOMO and you're dealing with the negative stereotypes of community college. And you're like, you know what, like I'm going to stunt on everyone. I'm going to get these associates. You don't need to. I was going to get 2 associates and absolutely not. Like don't do that to yourself. Do you really want to like go at it, like go off? I know people who've done like a poli-sci and economics associate. That's awesome. Good for you. Good on you. I was going to do networks programming and psychology. And then I realized, wow, I actually don't need any of these. And it's not going to help me with like getting into college. It does sometimes, but like, you know, as a resume point, like Ani said. But eventually I like did the math and I realized, wow, at the end of the quarter, I was like, oh, I actually have enough credits to get an associate. So like, why not? So at the end of your experience, community college journey and whatever, you're probably going to have enough credits to get an associate's, which is really cool. So on top of transferring and, you know, having a great time, you're like, cool, I get an associate's too. That's awesome. So yeah, but don't stress yourself out so much to like really get that piece of paper. Like just do your credits and make sure you transfer successfully.
Yeah, that's awesome. Any more of our panelists have anything to say about the associate degrees?
I didn't get one. I mean, I could have if I took a course in PE, but I was already accepted into UCLA and I was like, like I don't really need to do it. So I just didn't do it. But I actually, if you don't mind, I wanted to answer some of the questions that Austin put in the chat. Can cognitive science go into healthcare? So yes, cognitive science majors can go into healthcare. They can go into like basically anything. It just depends on like what classes you take. There's specific classes for cog sci majors, and then there's other classes that you need to take in order to qualify for medical school. So just do your research and yeah, get on top of that.
Awesome, that's really cool. And I guess another question we have is about tag. So did you guys tag to any of the UCs when you were transferring out, or were there even a tag option for your major?
Wait, what was your question? Sorry.
You know, the transfer agreement between
Oh, tag and
colleges. Yeah.
oh, I didn't do that. Like in my situation, I found out a month before the applications were due that I qualified to transfer. So I was on it. Like I just literally wrote my application so fast and I had like my friends review it for me. And yeah, just get someone to review it for you. Someone that's like really good in editing and like tell them to like just go off. Like don't hold back, like edit it, you know, like give like let them make suggestions for you. But no, I didn't do it, but I would highly suggest it. I couldn't do it because I passed the deadline, but seriously do it. Do tag and tap, I believe.
Yeah, to piggyback off of that words. I'll tell you my experience. So I did the tag as well. So there's only the handful of schools that you can tag to. So I believe it's Davis, Merced, Riverside, and Irvine, and I think Merced. I'm not sure about Merced. But also through Foothill, sneak tip, if you join their honors program and you take 95% of honors credits through, and Santa Cruz, sorry, yeah, and 95% of credits through their honors program, you can join the UCLA TAP program, which has like a 95% acceptance rate through Foothill. So you can be enrolled in both. So yeah, look into that. And then there's also the TAA, which goes to Santa Clara University, which is like the tag, but basically just to SCU. That's also really cool. But yeah, for the tag, I did the tag, and I did it for psychology, I believe. And I guess I didn't take one of the classes quite yet. I was going to, and they read it as like I wasn't going to take it, so they rejected my tag, and I thought it was literally the end of the world. I was like, I'm never getting into this school, like, because I did it to Davis because that was like one of the schools that I wanted to attend. And I kid you not, I thought it was the end of my world. It's not the end of your world. Don't worry about it. Tag is a great opportunity if you're like, I'm 100% going to this school and I 100% want to get into it immediately. You do that, like go off. But if you don't get it, it's not the end of the world. Regular admissions comes around and they see your entire application as a whole. And a lot of things change from like September to November. It definitely changed a lot for me. So don't be afraid. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. When regular admissions comes around, they'll see your whole application. So don't freak out. But yeah, take advantage of your opportunities.
Yeah, and to add, no, I did not tag, but it's not because I didn't want to. I sort of realized, I think in September, I was going to take a class to complete it, but you had to have done it like the year before. So I was just like, oh, well, that sort of sucks. But, you know, everything works out in a funny way. So it's cool. And one thing that I also wanted to add just off the cuff, because I know we talked about jobs a little, and I'm sure there are a lot of humanities students that are always worried about finding a job. Please like take a business club or something that teaches you how to write a resume. That is the most important skill that I can like tell you about. Knowing how to write a good resume or one that just looks visually appealing. Like you see people nodding right now, there's a reason for that. So please do it. Hit me up on LinkedIn. I'll teach you how to do it. Like if anything, or like, but yeah, definitely just wanted to mention that. Damn,
Awesome.
you guys
Thank you so
got all
much.
these TikTok tips. I feel so uncultured because I didn't know that existed. But yeah, my bad, and Handy, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much for allowing people to reach out to you on LinkedIn. And all right, so another question we have is about scholarship. So did you guys get any scholarship when you were applying to the UCs, or were there a separate application where you have to submit a whole different essay for the scholarship?
I have only applied to one, and the only reason why that is because I don't know if you know this, but when you apply to certain UC, well, I think this is all UCs. It's the blue and gold plan. So if your family makes less than, I believe, $80,000 a year, they cover your tuition and fees. And the only thing you would have to be paying is housing. Um, so that to me was like a really big like weight off my shoulders. I am low income. I come from a low income household, so I don't have to pay my tuition or fees, so that's covered. I did apply for the scholarship called, oh my God, I keep forgetting the name. It's like called like John or Jack F. Cook scholarship. If you just search that up, either one of those, I'll find it and I'll put it in the chat. But it gives you a full ride to like any university that you want, and you get to be part of like this great community. I unfortunately didn't get in just because I didn't know that I was gonna transfer that year and I didn't have enough time to edit my essay and all of that. But you know, highly suggest it, apply to that. And I also know Anza has some really great ones.
But yeah, I think it was the Jack Can't Cook scholarship.
Yeah, that one. Okay.
Yeah, that one's really selective as well, right?
Yeah, it's super selective, but honestly, I would say apply to it. You never know.
Right. Yeah. Um, anyone have anything else they wanna mention about scholarships?
Yeah, so I actually got one, but I don't know if this is still in the application, but I think there's a place where you can check a bunch of them or it automatically enlists you in some. So after I got into Cal, I got like a transfer scholarship or something that I think covered half my tuition for the first semester, which is really nice. But I didn't even know that it existed until I saw it in my financial aid plan. So yeah, but yes, definitely apply. I know a few friends who did get one. And they have like scholarships, like, oh, like scholarship if you're above 6 foot. They have like a scholarship for like every niche thing that you could probably think of. So research, it's free money. Like it's gonna go to waste if you don't apply. So apply.
Right. Yeah. And all right, another question we have is about dealing with rejection. So if any of you have maybe been rejected by your dream school or like your initial top choice school, how did you deal with that rejection? And yeah, I guess anyone to start?
I
Yeah, no, it's okay. You can start. You should start.
I was just gonna kick things off because I'm gonna, I'll go school by school really, really quickly. So I applied to 7, right? I got rejected from Cal Poly SLO, which is my first one. Then I got rejected from UCSB. I got into UCR, got into Davis and Irvine, got rejected from LA, which hurt a lot. But I got into Cal, but I guess like through that entire process, like getting rejected from one school or another, like, one of my friends who got into Berkeley from high school, he got rejected from every UC except for Cal, so like you never really know. And I understand, like getting rejected from your top choice sucks. Like, like that's not like a good feeling, but I think you like, I don't know, for me, like I always take everything like in as like in a motivating way. We're like, okay, you know what, they didn't get me, but like the school took a chance on me and I'm going to take this opportunity and make the most out of it, and like everybody that like didn't think that I was worthy for whatever reason. And sometimes, like be rational yourself. Like I didn't have all the major recs done for LA. They wanted me to take like French 4 for English. And I'm like, okay, like, like why would I need to take 4 years of French for English? Like it was something like, be logical, but also just like think about like, like I have an opportunity here, and the college you go to does not define the rest of your life. It's such a minor aspect of your life. Like after you graduate, like it's whatever, like people go to Berkeley, people go to Harvard, but at the end of the day, like who you are as a person and how you make other people feel is way important than where you went to college.
Yeah, and something I want to add to that is, I'm gonna be honest, like at least the way I view college is you're not paying exactly for the education, you're paying for the network here. You need to socialize, you need to meet people, like talk to people, don't be scared. I mean, I should be taking my own advice, I need to talk to more people. But like it's true, like I don't know, just join a club and stuff like that. I was rejected from Berkeley, and that's because like I didn't take like any other requirements like of their classes that they're asking transfer. Then I was like, oh, okay, like so the key thing is, if you really want to get into a specific school, or like you really have one in mind, I would say follow what they're asking you through assist.org really helps you. But also don't put all your eggs in one basket. The only reason why I chose UCLA as my main school that I wanted to follow like the courses is because they were asking for a lot of courses that the other UCs were already asking me for. So I don't know if that makes any sense. So I was just basically like, what's the term? Like killing 2 birds with like 1 stone or something like that. Yeah. And like, that's just the way that I did it. And I would highly suggest that. And honestly, I felt really discouraged when I got rejected from Berkeley, but it's like, whatever, like they say that if you get rejected from Berkeley, then you'll get into LA, or if you get rejected from LA, you'll get into Berkeley. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just rejection in general is really difficult because I think inside you see it from your perspective. You're like, oh, I've worked my butt off. Like I've done this. Why can't they see that? But like I said before, everything happens for a reason. And you, like Suleiman said too, like like one school is going to take a chance on you, and you should respect that as well and go with that. You can always fight it. Like even though I was already set on going to Berkeley, I was just upset that I was waitlisted at UCLA. So I was like, I am going to try to find a way to get in regardless. Like it's more stress for yourself. So, just go with it. And also you're going to have rejections afterwards as well. Like trying to find a job after graduating in May has been like this whole like characteristic evolving thing where I was just getting rejected left and right. So yeah, your school does not matter, because I was like, why did I pay this much to go to Berkeley and I'm getting rejected from everywhere? Like it was so upsetting, but the time will come when you least expect it. So just like rejection, once you learn to just have confidence in yourself and like know you're doing your best, and that the next opportunity, internship, school, job will see it, you'll handle rejection way better. And also just do something fun, because you don't want to be moping around. Call your friends, your family, go run your stress off, or do something to just get your mind off of it. But just know like you're going to the school you're meant to be at, and take every opportunity from it.
I think it's rough. Definitely to put you in like where I was, my place. When acceptances were coming out, I put a lot on the meaning of an acceptance. If I didn't get accepted, that meant that I failed. I'm not successful. I'm not happy. I've failed community college. No, it's stressful until you get that first acceptance and you're like, whoa, someone wants me, or like, I've succeeded. But don't put so much on an acceptance and a rejection. I know it's easy to say in our place because we're wherever we are. And you all are like waiting, you all are going to hear from acceptances in like a couple months. But yeah, rejections are not fun. This is like a first of a long line of rejections. When you go to like after college, you're going to apply to jobs, you're going to apply to different things. And don't take it like they are rejecting me as Mihal Sharma, as who's a 20-year-old. Like they just read something on a piece of paper and they're like, oh, they made a decision. And they, if you look into the statistics of it, they spend I think 90 seconds per application or less than that, I believe. So they are literally just reading a piece of paper and coming to a judgment. It's not a judgment of who you are though. So don't let that define you. I spent like many dark moments where I'm like, oh my God, like this defines me. But I ate some ice cream and I got back up. And you're going to be okay. At the end of the day, everything is going to be okay. It's just a temporary stress. It's a temporary moment in your long, long life that's ahead of you. And eventually, I got rejected by, I actually got waitlisted by UCLA and I was upset. I was like, holy shit, like what was this all for? And then like look at me now, like thriving and happy at a place where I was supposed to be at the end of the day. So the universe will work out. It'll work out for you. Just believe in yourself. Don't compare yourself. It's gonna be your biggest enemy. And just be proud of yourself for you, because I know sometimes we want to hear our parents say you're proud of them, or like they're proud of you, or like you want like some sort of validation, and we source it from like acceptances or like things like that. But the only validation at the end of the day is your own, and that's what's going to get you satisfied. That's what's going to make you happy and get you through the dark times. So just be like, hey, I'm proud of you. Look in the mirror, say some self-affirmations, and you're gonna be okay. All of you are gonna be fine at the end of the day, and you're all gonna be happy wherever you end up. Also, badger the admissions counselors like no other. Like, get on their backs. I emailed so many of them, and I was on their ass day by day because I was like, review my credits, review my transcripts. Am I gonna be okay? Am I gonna be okay? Because no one else is going to do it for you. And also it's like, wow, look at them. They really want to go to this school. And you really are like, it prepares you for like the rest of your life. So on top of assist, bother them. Just continue bothering them because it's their job. But yeah.
Right. Yeah. Thank you so much for all of that. And all right. So I think we can squeeze in one more question. And let's end it on a good note. So what are some places you love visiting or you suggest people visit on your campus?
Some of my favorite locations. I don't even know. Honestly, I'll be honest. The food here is pretty good. Like, honestly, guys, you need to like get some food around this area because it is so good. It makes me happy. Food makes me happy. Also, I know there's like a garden here somewhere. I don't know. UCLA is like huge, but also really small. And yeah, you should definitely visit that. And yeah, honestly, the school itself is beautiful. So I just look at it and it kind of sinks in. It's like I'm here and I deserve to be here. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
I'm trying to think. In regards to Cal, outside of like I mentioned the transfer center, you guys should all go there. And if and when you guys get in, definitely go there. But food wise, Ivy's is really good. Their Philly cheesesteaks, like I'm not a Philly cheesesteak person, but after that, I have like withdrawals. Like I need to go to Berkeley like right now just to have a cheesesteak from there. Yeah, no, that's really good. Sliver is really good. They sell like one pizza every day. It's like the same pizza, but it's like a Berkeley staple. You can't really go wrong with it. And they have so many boba places. There's this one place called, I think, Charity. They have like a caramel brown sugar boba special. Like I'm not like, and it's like I swear I don't eat any of these things on a regular, but over there I would because they were just so good.
Yeah, the food is amazing in Berkeley too. If you're into Thai food, they have some of the best Thai spots in Berkeley, like literally the best. People line up. There's also like Louisiana Kitchen, like in downtown Berkeley. There's a lot of diversity. So like, you know, like there's a lot of diversity in people. So as a result of it, there's diversity in food. So like they have the best, and like there's one sushi spot that's like $12 for like a dragon roll, and like it's probably the top 3 sushi I've had in my entire life, and I would literally like spend all my money there. Like it was terrible, but I am in love with the food there. There's Gypsies, which is like this Italian greasy like pasta food that's open late and everyone lines up and comes from all over the East Bay to get it. Amazing. Just like overall, it's a really nice place. It's not the safest place at night, so just be careful if you're like new. Just, you know, don't walk around with your purse open or anything like that. But it's a really cool place, and it's close to SF and like Oakland. It's literally like two blocks from Oakland, so like it's amazing. So visit it. Let us know if you want any recommendations on LinkedIn.
Yeah, Berkeley also has Burma Superstars, super delicious, yum, kind of pricey. Anyways, here on campus, I would say Mom, middle of Muir, amazing coffee, dirty chai, chef's kiss with some oat milk, love it. But generally the food on campus, it's kind of disappointing. It's not the greatest. You basically expect student like food cafeteria and your expectations will be fulfilled. But there is one vegan place called Plant Power. So good. So good. Oh my God. Like vegan food. I'm vegetarian. And vegan food is just like my next best friend. Super good. Also the tacos. If you go into downtown, the tacos generally are just like absolutely amazing. Like top tier, amazing. Get some fish tacos. Ooh, go to PB. That's amazing. So definitely go to PB. It's a lot funner than La Jolla. La Jolla is like suburbia, rich suburbia. But yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for all the recommendations. Definitely excited to visit all of them. And I think that marks the end of this panel. And before we end it, do you mind if people reach out to you on LinkedIn for help, or if you could share your LinkedIn link in the chat below?
Yeah, you could definitely hit me up on LinkedIn. Hit me up. Anyways, on LinkedIn. I'll put my email down as well. Sorry if I like don't respond like really fast. I'm really busy right now. I mean, who isn't, you know? But yeah, just hit me up. Let me know that you came from this like panel group orientation thing, Zoom meeting. Yeah, and I will definitely help you. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And yeah, thank you so much for all the panelists for coming in today, sharing your advice and experience. And yeah, good luck on your midterms, or good luck on your whatever you're doing right now. And yeah, let's keep in touch and have a great rest of your day.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye everyone. Good luck with applications.
Yeah, bye.
All right. I think that's it.
Yeah, we are going back.
Yeah, to the main room.
Yeah,
Or
I
I
guess.
think I want to go to business first. Yeah.
Are you closing the recording?
Oh, right. Yeah, I'm gonna stop the recording. How do you think it went?
Didn't you record? What?